Hello, and welcome to Working Dragon Mystic, where we discuss real metaphysical and occult knowledge so you can manifest real and tangible results in your life. Welcome to the channel. I'm Drake, and today we're going to be continuing our Goetia series with the 38th spirit of the Goetia. And before we get started, may I say it actually feels good to give that old opening again. We are getting back to focusing on practical manifestations, practical magic, and results-oriented content with we're going back into our old channel format, as I mentioned before in a different video. But let's get into this, shall we? All right. So, 38th spirit of the Goetia is HALPHAS. In the Goetia, the appearance of this particular spirit is referred to appeareth as a form of a stock dove speaketh with a hoarse voice. That is all it really says. I've heard a lot of people say stork or dove, stock dove to my understanding, actually. I meant to look this up and I actually forgot. Can I define it here? It says it's a gray Eurasian North African pigeon that resembles a small wood pigeon and nest in holes in trees. So actually it'd be a small pigeon. Interesting. Um, I actually had to look that up because I'll be honest, anytime I've contacted this spirit, it did not show up looking like a bird. He honestly showed up usually looking as a somewhat of a scrawny individual, to even a muscular individual, but it's the face that really stands out to me, almost like a hawkish nose is the best way I can describe it. Um, Hoarse voice, definitely. When I say hoarse, think someone who has that kind of hoarse voice from yelling all day long, almost a Norval Rogers or Shaggy kind of hoarseness to it. Only definitely deeper. I'm not saying he sounds like Shaggy. Don't get me wrong there. Okay. All right. So the traditional traits of this spirit are its rank Earl, metal is copper, planet. Okay, my notes are messed up here. It says planet silver, which we know that's not the case. So if you give me a half a shake, I know I can double check this. I can pull up my, uh, I want to say the planet would be the moon. It's been a really long time getting back into doing these, and now we have to do a live checking thing. So let's see what we can do. The color most associated with the spirit, though, we'll come back to the planet, is silver. And the element most associated with this spirit is actually air. However, when I say air, one thing I should point out is there are a lot of people, and I do mean a lot, who heavily associate this spirit with fire. So I actually do have on in my notes air and parentheses fire because there are a lot of individuals who do indeed um, correlate those two. Huh, how about that? Okay, so huh, I actually wrote that correctly. It says it's silver. Um, Looking at all my notes, anytime silver shows up, it usually relates to the moon, but the metal is copper. So, we have an issue with this one where this particular spirit actually seems to mix up in a lot of areas, and it's actually throwing me off. So, if I go back to Furfur, for example, we do run into a spirit where silver and copper are both listed, and you get Mars as the planet. So, I am looking back at some really old journal notes here, and I do have Mars listed because of the two metal associations there. for that. That being said, moon silver is also heavily associated with this entity because of yeah, the moon would also be a good representation or possible association planet because of that silver link. So you do see that. Interestingly enough, copper, if you took it without the combo like furfur, think toward when we discussed Astaroth, usually copper is linked with Venus. So, um, for me, in my personal practice, when I look, check this other file over here for me, one that I use more for my personal practice as opposed to research notes. I actually do have for my personal notes that I more associate it with metal being silver, planet being moon. That's what I have found seems to be well. I can't speak for you, but note that this particular entity, the metals most associated with it would be copper and silver, thus making the planets most associated with it, depending on who you ask, would be Mars, Venus, um, and the moon. So yeah, it gets a little mixed up and crazy. This one is one where a lot of people point to it and say, why can't anyone nail this down? Why do so many magicians disagree? And this is another thing with correspondences I've talked about. There is no hard set correspondence. It's just what is most often associated, and that's why I always say it that way. We have associations that we put on these things. So most often referred to or associated is metal, copper, and silver, planet, Venus, Mars, moon. Okay. Um, color, like I said before, red. No one questions that, which interestingly enough, I would actually heavily associate this one with closer to Mars because of that red. That does make sense to me. And of course, definitely if you're pulling on that fire aspect, that again ties in really good with Mars. Um, air, yeah. So it's a very mixed up one. That's the best way to put it. Okay. So reminder to check us out over at Locals and follow us. You can join Locals for free, or you can become a paid supporter and support the channel and gain access to a bunch of supporter-only content, as well as early access to workshops and courses and stuff like that. Currently, at the release of this video, we are starting a Summer Fae pathworking and a Norse Magic pathworking for the supporters. But we do release member only content that's members are the free members over there um, all the time. So definitely check us out and check out our online school if you're interested in online courses in dragon magic, meditation, evocation, and the like. All those links can be found below. And follow us at Rumble. We do actually have a Rumble channel. We post over there. Um, and we also are getting ready to start a live podcast over there that will be Rumble only. So to cover topics we can't cover over on YouTube. All right. Now, anytime we are working with a spirit, generally we want to know what is the big areas that this spirit is known to work in. Now, in the original Goetia, it says to raise up towers and to furnish them with ammunition and weapons, and to send men of war to places appointed. Now, this hands down makes me think Mars. It really does. It has that very war aspect to it, that fiery aspect. And because of that, I would say, yes, by this description, Mars comes in quickly, and hardly. So definitely consider that. But most people don't need to raise a tower or something, and we know these are usually very poetic. So in the modern day, what are things that is very practical for use for this spirit, correct? Okay. The first one is to aid you in your path to gain power or promotion in a group or organization. Pretty straightforward. Whether it's in a group, maybe you're part of a lodge or some other group, a bowling team even, and you're trying to get promotion or gain influence of some kind in that group, could help you do it. At work, can help you again, be listened to, heard as a point of authority, or get promotion. Anything like that with a group or organization, they can help move you up along the rungs a little bit. The next point is to give counsel and guidance on your path to your goals and how to progress them effectively. Honestly, this is one of the ones I do like, and that counsel of wisdom and foresight is really, I think, why I want to associate the moon and silver to this entity. This is kind of the area where I'm working in the most with this entity. I think I have to really think on that a little bit, but I love to get that counsel when I can. All right. The next one is help to know what skill or skills will be needed to reach your goals and to help you develop them. Here again, we're looking at that knowledge, that practicality, that learning. And I like this one. I really do. I've used this one in professional life and just private life. There's plenty of times where I've had goals that I needed to develop certain skill sets, and this entity has been very helpful in helping me do it. Um, but note, you're not just going to go to sleep and wake up with a skill. You've got to put in the time, you got to put in the effort to train it yourself. Mm, they're not just going to, it's not a genie's lamp. You can't just wish to be a skilled craftsman at something and wake up and do it. You got to put in the time, the effort, and train it. They're going to help you pick it up quicker and faster. Okay. Empower growth in group, organization, or business that you are in charge of. Um, yeah, that's right. Yeah, power growth in a group or an organization or business that you are in charge of. Um, or that you're working to start or take over as long as you are in the leadership role. Okay, that's kind of important there. They can definitely help you empower that growth and that organization and get that process rolling. But notice that you need to be in a leadership role there, whether you're starting an entrepreneur thing, whether you're buying a business of sorts. Um, maybe you're doing a franchise thing, you're wanting to open up maybe a McDonald's or something. I don't know. You can set, they can help you do that, but you need to be in the leadership role for this one to have more relevance to you. You need to be in that leadership role of it. Next, it's help to provide protection when under attack by enemies. Here we're seeing some more of that Mars energy, aren't we? This is one I've had clients ask me for. I've used it a time or two for myself, and it seems to, honestly, I found there's other entities I prefer for protection. I'll be honest with you. I've got a lot of clients who have said they've had great luck with this and whatnot. Students and other magicians as well who's used it. For me, I've just found other entities better personally. And of course, the final one is to help to overcome one's enemies and obstacles or win in a hostile situation. Okay? Again, more of that Mars energy. Now, we like to think of enemies and danger and violence and all these things when we think of obstacles and hostile situations. There's a lot of instances in life where we could be put in a hostile situation that may not fit that definition. Maybe you got some little asshat at work or some Karen or somebody who's just stressed at making your life miserable. They're enjoying making your life miserable. Maybe it's a family member. I don't know. We all have people in our lives that create what some might call a hostile work environment or a hostile home life or something in that category. This spirit is a great entity for helping to resolve those situations. Now, how they're going to resolve it, I don't know. I've seen everything from getting them fired, getting them thrown out of houses, all kinds of weird things. They rarely work in the way that we might think or intend. In fact, I find that this spirit works best when you give no guidance. It's like, get this, resolve this situation, get the situation resolved. I do not want this problem. Let the spirit know what the problem is. And the spirit is very good at finding a way to resolve it. One thing I do state is when you are trying to get this resolved, be mindful and listen for insight and inspiration to hit you. Because in cases where, like, it was at work or at home, usually, not always, but sometimes it's the magician themselves who finds the better job and moves to a different place of work, or finds a better apartment or a better roommate or something like that. And that transition would take place that way. So don't just, set this spirit to work and then just, assume it's all going to take care of itself. Be mindful, listen for that inspiration. Remember, magic's going to take the easiest road. And sometimes that's us bettering ourselves in a situation or moving to a situation and the spirit helping us to make that transition easy as opposed to other pathways that we might um, prefer in that immediate moment. We might think, we want the roommate gone. We don't want to deal with the move. Where honestly, the better solution might actually be for us to move. It's one of those crappy things in life. What can I say? All right. And of course, we got to get to the sigil. So, hey, 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 back to this. I don't have to hold up a phone no more. Here we go. We'll put the sigil on the screen. Pretty straightforward sigil. Um, all right. And if you are still with us and you enjoy this kind of content, be sure to hit the like button. It does help us a lot with the algorithm, and it makes sure you see more videos like this and our content. And also hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're notified anytime we put up some practical occult content. All right. Next up, of course, we have the Un. A lot of people love trying to hear me try to pronounce these. Um, I'm not going to say I get this one really good. It's not a hard one, though I will admit I'm a little stopped up today. So this might add an extra layer of humor for it. Let's see how we do on this one. Um, and I do not know if my new editing program will let me put it on the screen or not, but if it does, I'll put it here so you can see it typed out without just having to trust on my pronunciation. Okay. Arato Halfas Anka Sakor. Arato Halfas Anka Sakor. Arato Halfas Anka Sakor. That would be how I would pronounce it. All right, we usually close these with my experience. With this spirit, honestly, like I said, the bulk of my experience, I tend to like to go to this spirit mostly for guidance and counsel in progress and pathways, determining what way might be the best. I personally pair it with scrying, so I can not have all my notes for scrying, and I put those notes away for like a week, and then I go speak with the spirit, take all the notes from there, and compare the two. Because I don't want the scrying fresh in my brain. I don't want my thoughts tainting the my original data tainting the other one. Whether I put whichever one I do first, I try to put some distance between them. But I do find it gives pretty good results in all honesty. Help with training and skill development, knowing what skills might be useful. That one I gotta admit I have used. Um, there's been a time or two in my life when he's advised me to develop a certain skill for a certain goal that I'm working toward, and the skill made no sense at all. A few times I ignored it. And didn't take long going down the road before I found out that would have been a very, very good thing to have listened to. So I was actually now weeks or even a month or more behind because I didn't listen when I should have. On the contrast, there's been plenty of times where I did listen, didn't make sense, but I went ahead and tried to do it anyways, and I was ahead of the curve when the time came. So I've learned to listen on this skill one. I got to say, I found that one to be very useful. And he has actually helped me to develop skill sets that I didn't think I could develop really well. Um, in my uh, private free time, I like to do a lot of different games and stuff. Some of them require maps, and I like kind of the old style cartography, hand-drawn look. I'm not an artist, so I've used the spirit a time or two to help me develop skill sets and putting together maps and stuff like that. Um, and I went from not being able to do any of it. To I've developed about 3 or 4 different map styles that I like. I think I do them well, and people who see them actually like them. But it's something I never thought I'd be able to do before. Um, does that mean I can draw really great cartography maps? No, but then to be fair, I don't put that much time into it. It's a free time, fun thing that I do. It's not something I'm really super trying to push and develop. But at the same time, he has taken me well beyond anything I was capable of doing or thought I was able to do, and I am thankful for that. Um, I already mentioned, the protection and hostile situation ones. That's pretty much my experience with it. There's no reason to rehash that. So there we go. That is the 38th Spirit of the Goetia, HALPHAS. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, again, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Um, I apologize if I seem a little out of sorts. It has been a long time since I've done a video to record and get posted as opposed to live. And some reason these do still get to me. Y'all know I'm terrified of camera, so I gotta get back into the rhythm of it. So I appreciate your patience. Hopefully, you guys will subscribe, check out the channel. We got a lot of great content, videos, and stuff coming up. Also, we got a lot of good ideas for the Mage Minded series. A lot of y'all have been asking for more of those. We got those coming. All right, till next time, everybody. I'm Drake. This has been Working Dragon Mystic. Take care. Bye bye.